Hello, this is Charlie Henley. This is my podcast on Foley sound and the effectiveness, how it's used in the movie industry. I'm joined with Nick and Dan from the media department of Chelmsford College, who are specialists and know a lot about their knowledge of Foley sound. So, what exactly do you know about Foley sound?
Foley sound is basically replacement sound. So any sounds that aren't deemed, like if someone records something you can't really hear the sound, that's a replacement sound, or it's a sound effect to make something more visceral or obvious.
In your opinion, what movie of your choice uses the true effectiveness of Foley sound?
I always use, as a nice example, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, essentially because they use Foley sound as an in-joke in the film. So for instance, there's a scene where they're supposed to be knights of the round table and they ride on horseback towards a castle, but they're actually banging coconuts together to create the sound of horse hooves. But actually, you can see it on camera, and they make an actual joke of the fact they're using coconut sounds to replicate horse hooves.
Is Foley sound changing, and what could it be like in years to come?
Foley sound as an actual process hasn't actually changed that much since sort of the late 1920s. The only thing that really has changed is actually the fact that filmmaking's become more digital instead. So whereas before, back in the early 1930s, it was a case of It's a case that back in the 1930s, Jack Foley, when he was doing his sound design, when they came to putting the sounds in, would have to do them live. So when it came to actually recording the sounds, they would have to watch it. They would have to make the sounds in a pattern in order to record it for sections. And if a mistake was made, then it was a case of it got deleted. Today's world, because we work digitally, we can record each sound individually, we can manipulate that sound individually, and we can place it and use it on a timeline using software such as Premiere in a way where we've got absolute control over what we're doing. And that's the biggest change that's happened in Foley. Looking towards the future, it's a case of probably more sound effects will be made computer-based. So instead of actually going out and creating a car crash, we'll be using sounds created using a computer to recreate the sound of that car crash.
Same question for you, Dan. What movie uses the true effectiveness of Foley sound?
I really like, all films where you're listening to the sound and you are not aware of their using additional Foley sound is a good film in terms of the way they use it. Probably the one that stands out for me as one of my personal favourites is probably Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because their use of Foley sound is not just about recreating the sound effects of the world they're in, but also using computer game sound effects as well in order to give that idea of it being linked to game culture and bits like that.
Right, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you, Nick and Dan, for coming and featuring in this podcast. And thank you all for listening. Thanks. Goodbye.